It was a beautiful day outside at the Healing Garden when we had a vendor come in making some kettle popcorn, and so happened that it started to get windy, picking up his popcorn everywhere out. So he had called for assistance to relocate to the bistro where it was less windier, and helped him relocate all his table, all his equipment, his popcorn and so forth. And his remark to me was, we don't get this kind of treatment anywhere we go. And my remark to him was, well, welcome to Platte Valley. This is what we do for you.
After visiting with a patient in ICU who had been intubated and in bed for quite a few days, I think almost a week, and she was wondering if it would be okay if our nursing staff cut the patient's hair. And so she was concerned about risk issues, but the patient had extensions, quite long extensions, so below her shoulder. And when she laid in bed, the extensions caused her hair to get pulled, and so she was uncomfortable with the long hair and was wanting her hair cut. So rather than having our staff cut her hair, I called a couple of local shops and found one in Brighton who had a licensed hairdresser who came with her scissors and apron, and we went up to the unit, and the patient was able to sit up at that time but was still ventilated, and so she indicated through sign language she was happy to have her hair cut, and so this young gal gave her a short haircut.
It was a Friday afternoon, and I got over to the ICU department, and one of the nurses let me know that there had been a patient who had been transferred by ambulance down to University Hospital. But she didn't have any family members with her, and she had had 3 or 4 bouquets of flowers, and the ambulance department the ambulances cannot take the flowers with them. And so she was wondering if there was some way that I could get those flowers down to University. University is not that far from my house, so I just offered to put them in my car and drive them down to her.
Tenía mucho dolor.
It was a day like any other when I entered the patient's room to empty the trash, and I noticed a man sitting up in bed. I could see that he was in a lot of pain and not feeling very well. I could tell from his facial expressions, his voice, and how he was speaking that he wanted to talk. I stopped what I was doing and I sat beside him and just listened to him talk about how he felt what had happened. I touched the foot of the bed and then patted his feet lightly. After a while, I could see that he was beginning to feel better. He thanked me for listening to him, and I tried to tell him as best as I could some comforting words so he could feel better. I felt very good that I could help that patient feel better because he was very depressed, very sad, and I was so glad that I could be there at that moment to listen to him and spend a few minutes with him. Even though he didn't speak Spanish, I was able to understand what he was saying, and I was able to make myself understood. The most important thing I felt is just by sitting there, listening to him talk, letting everything out, that I was able to help him.